Chapter 28 of Captain Bill McDonald, Texas Ranger, A Story of Frontier Reform. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Captain Bill McDonald, Texas Ranger, A Story of Frontier Reform by Albert Bigelow Paine. Chapter 28. Captain Bill as a Peacemaker. He attends certain strikes and riots alone with satisfactory results, goes to Thurber and disperses a mob. During the years that ended the old century and began the new, from about 1896 to 1902 or later, there occurred in Texas a series of strike and mob disorders of various kinds. To quiet troubles of this sort is the special province of the Ranger Service, and as the Panhandle became more trouble, more range-broken, as one may say, Captain Bill McDonald and his little force were summoned to points far and near to put down disturbance and to check agitation. It was not long after the bank murder at Wichita Falls and the capture of Lewis and Crawford that Captain McDonald was summoned there again, this time to investigate a strike on the Fort Worth and Denver Railroad. Things were in bad shape at the falls. Trains were not allowed to run, engines were not permitted to move, riot and bloodshed were imminent. Captain Bill did not think it necessary to take his men. He went up to Wichita Falls alone, and learning where the main body of the strikers were assembled, went over there. They had gathered in a hall and were holding a secret meeting when he arrived. The captain knocked on the door. A doorkeeper came, but refused admission. "I'm Captain McDonald of the Rangers," said McDonald quietly, "and I'm here to talk to you men and see what the trouble is. You're all here now, and I think I'll talk to you together." The doorkeeper went away and reported, and presently returned. "Where are your Rangers?" he asked. "I didn't bring any. I don't need any. I'm a pretty good single-handed talker myself." There was another consultation inside, and the door opened. Captain Bill went in with a friendly greeting for everybody, given in his genial, natural way. Then he got up where he could see his audience. "Boys," he said in his slow, friendly way, "I understand you all are acting mighty sorry over here, interfering with business, and making out like you're going to tear up things generally. Now, you know me, and you know that I don't want anything that ain't right. And if a man behaves himself, I'll try to get him what's right if I can. I suppose you think you have a grievance, and perhaps you have, but you'll never get it settled this way. And it's my business, as you all know, not to have this sort of work going on. You have a perfect right to quit work, but you haven't any right to keep other men from working, or to injure people's business, or to break up property. Nothing good can come out of such doings. I didn't bring any of my men along because I didn't believe I'd need 'em, and I don't think so now. But of course, if this thing goes on, I'll have to bring 'em, and then it will be too late to talk all friendly here together as we're talking now. I'm well acquainted with President Good of this road, and I know you can't get anything this way. And if you take my advice, you'll go back to work and tell him your troubles afterward. Now, boys, that's all I've got to say. And I reckon if you listen to it, you'll come out a good deal better than if you listen to one or two men that for some reason of their own are trying to stir up a lot of trouble, and will be in jail before night, as like as not." Captain Bill went down on the street, and the crowd soon followed. A good many came to him and expressed willingness to go to work. Here and there he talked to a little group in his friendly, earnest way. The strike at Wichita Falls was over. From Wichita Falls, McDonald went over to Fort Worth, where there was similar trouble, but learned that a more serious situation existed at the Thurber coal mines in Erath County. The miners were of many nationalities, ignorant and brutish, and they were swayed by anarchical leaders. The ranger captain was urged to take his men to Thurber, but decided to go alone. Arriving at Thurber, he hunted up the mine officials for a consultation. Colonel Hunter, president of the mines, looked at Captain Bill, bent over from his wounds and battered up from illness and exposure, and shook his head. "You should have brought your men," he said. "You can't do anything with a gang like ours alone." "Well, Colonel, I'm using my men in other places. I'll look around a little and do what I can anyway." Loitering about the town, he discovered that a number of kegs of beer were going out to a high hill beyond the outskirts, headquarters of the striking miners. He learned that there was to be a sort of mass meeting there that night when the leaders and chief agitators would be on hand. He decided to be present. It was well after dark when he set out, and a good crowd had assembled when he reached the place. It was out on a mountain where the timber had been cut off, about half a mile from Thurber, and there was no light except from a misty moon. At one place there was a big log used by the speakers to stand on, and about this the crowd and the beer kegs were gathered. Captain Bill, unnoticed, blended with the outer edges. It was near 11 o'clock, and a speaker had come to the conclusion that the crowd was in the proper condition to take some good radical advice, which might be followed by prompt action, so he proceeded to give it. He told them how they had been mistreated and what they should do. They were to begin by blowing up the mines in the superintendent's office, and he told them which mine to blow up first. Then he told them what they were to do to Old Hunter, and it was clear from the faces and the muttering of the listeners that they were ready to do these things. Captain Bill worked his way through the crowd until he was close to the speaker's log. When the agitator reached what seemed a good stopping place, the ranger captain suddenly stepped up beside him. The speaker stopped, dead still in his surprise. It was Captain Bill's turn. "Men," he said, "this rascal that has been talking to you is an enemy to you and to the country. He's trying to get you to commit murder and to get you sent to the penitentiary or hung. You can quit work, but you can't kill people and destroy property, not in this state. These walking delegates and leaders that are telling you to do these things are just a sorry lot of damn scoundrels, and I'm going to put them where they belong, and where they're trying to get you. I'm captain of Company B, Ranger Service, and I'm here alone, but I'll have my men here if I need them, and I'll hang just such fellows as this man." Captain Bill turned to indicate his selected victim, but he was no longer there. He had melted into the crowd and was seen no more. A man from the assembly came up and urged the captain to desist, warning him that there were desperate men there and that he would be killed. "Don't mind me," Captain Bill proceeded. "That's been tried on me more than once without much success. You see, I'm here yet, spared, I reckon, to give you some good advice. Now, you men had better take it and give up these meetings, and if you've got to jump onto anybody, jump onto the fellows that's trying to get you into trouble. Good night." Captain Bill walked back to Thurber, and next morning a messenger came to his room to tell him that there was a big crowd outside hunting for him. He rose and dressed, and taking his Winchester, went out to see what was going on. When he appeared, he was waited on by some miners who wanted him to talk a little more to the men. He was told that a number of them had decided to go to work and wanted to know what kind of protection they would have. Captain Bill assured them of protection and fair treatment. Then he asked where their leaders had gone, the men who had been urging them to do murder. But they could not tell. Those ill advisers had vanished overnight. Within a brief time, the men were nearly all back at work, doing better than ever before. At other points, McDonald or his rangers quieted the strikers and prevented trouble of various kinds. Usually, Captain Bill went alone. It was his favorite way of handling mob disorders, as we have seen. It is told of him in Dallas how once he came to that city in response to a dispatch for a company of rangers, this time to put down an impending prize fight. "Where are the others?" asked the disappointed mayor who met him at the depot. "Hell, ain't I enough?" was the response. "There's only one prize fight." End of chapter 28.